Cryptid evidence is kind of a mixed bag. Despite there being hundreds of alleged photos and videos, the vast majority is blurry, shaky, or obviously fake. But there's a small amount of cryptid evidence I find plausible for one reason or another, and I'll be giving my reasons why. Since photo and video evidence isn't perfect, I'll also be discussing some possible counterpoints. The goblin shark is a fairly medium-sized shark on average, usually around 3 to 4 meters or 10 to 13 feet in length. But in the year 2000, a goblin shark estimated to be about 20 feet or 6.1 meters in length was caught in the Gulf of Mexico. 14 years later, another specimen from the Gulf of Mexico around 21 feet or 6.3 meters was caught. Since both of these specimens were caught in the same area and were far larger than typical goblin sharks, it was speculated that they were a new species. But if we caught them, why weren't they tested to confirm this? Unfortunately, no sample was taken from either shark. In fact, the only reason we have an estimate of their length is because of scientists using the rope in the photos as a scale. While it's cool that we have photos of these sharks, it's not proof of a giant new species. It's possible that there's a new species in the Gulf, but it's also possible that these were just two large specimens. Both of the caught sharks were female, and female goblin sharks are known to be larger than male ones on average. It'll take the catching and testing of a third goblin shark to put this mystery to bed. The Marvin footage is one of the more enigmatic pieces of cryptid evidence. Nicknamed Marvin as it means friend of the sea, this animal was captured on tape during an underwater oil deposit search off of the coast of California. When the footage of the strange corkscrew-like underwater creature was first taken in 1962, scientists were split about its identity. There were many theories about what type of animal it was, from a siphonophore, to a ctenophore, to a salt chain. Despite a number of scientists looking at it, nobody could identify what specific species it was. At the time, they had scientists from the University of Austin, the University of Southern California, the Scripps Institute of Oceanography, and the University of Seattle all look at it. Decades later, scientist Bruce Robinson of the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute would also analyze Marvin. He thought it looked similar to a siphonophore called Forscalia, but noted that Marvin was way too big to be one since it was estimated at 15 feet or 4 meters in length. Since nobody can identify it with a known species, I think it's something we have yet to discover. However, the grainy and incomplete nature of the footage makes it hard to concretely identify it. The experts who analyzed it at the time seemed to have the complete footage, but now there are only a couple of frames from the video still available. The Yemeni queen of Sheba's gazelle is believed to have gone extinct around 1951. There were multiple zoological expeditions in the area that the Sheba gazelles lived in back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, but they saw no gazelles. In 1985, however, they may have been found in an unexpected place. Veterinarian Chris Furley was in the Qatari Al Wabra Wildlife Preserve when he spotted a pair of gazelles he took a photo of. Zoologist Colin Groves, who actually discovered and named the Sheba gazelles, believed that this photo showed a pair of them. In fact, I was lucky enough to speak with another gazelle expert who also thought that this photo could show Sheba gazelles. There were a number of details that matched the preserved specimens of the Sheba gazelles we have on record. The photo shows longer horns and darker fur, which are both features of the Sheba gazelle. Unfortunately, the gazelles that were at the zoo all died. But if the zoo could have gotten a pair decades after the last known specimens were captured, perhaps they were or are still around in the wild somewhere. Possibly the first ever photo of a cryptid was taken in India back in 1889. A geological expedition had been in the Lushai Hills when they captured a pair of lorises with long tails. All known species of loris don't have long tails, so this was a significant discovery. Unfortunately, lorises are known for being slow. So the men basically just put the two in a box and went to bed, thinking they'd be there tomorrow. Of course, the next day the lorises were gone. What I find so plausible about the photo is the background of it. It was taken by a scientific expedition and written about in the Proceedings of the Zoological Society of London. It's been suggested that the two lorises were just mutations and not new species. However, typically a tail mutation produces a short and non-functioning tail. The lorises had long flexible tails that they used to balance with. The only real unfortunate thing about the photo is that the tail isn't super visible. It's supposedly seen over the left shoulder of the top loris, but it's not very clear. The lorises were closely examined and observed by the men, so I don't think they would have misidentified a tail. The other possibility is that the men were lying, but I don't really see a motive for them doing so. It doesn't seem like the men got any money for the photo. An unrelated man, Colonel E.W. Locke, also claimed to have seen tailed lorises. I could sort of see it being a prank, but it would kind of be a bad prank. The description of the lorises was fairly mundane, not a monkey with wings or something that would be funny. Again, there's also the testimony of Colonel Locke, who doesn't have a clear motive to lie about seeing them. Still, to prove the existence of tailed lorises, it'll take them being captured a second time, with a better box. In the 1970s, Hiroshi Yagi heard an impossible sound. It was the howl of a wolf, 60 years after the last wolf in Japan was believed to have gone extinct. After hearing this, he began to look for the wolf himself. In 1996, Yagi was in the Chichibu Tamakai National Park when something crossed the road in front of him. He got out of his car and approached the animal, which turned out to be a large canine. He took over a dozen close-up photos of the animal and even offered it a rice cracker before it left. These photos were then analyzed by zoologist Yoshinori Imaizumi. He was able to compare them to a taxidermied specimen from before the species supposedly went extinct. He noted a number of similarities between the two. The ears and front legs of the wolf were both short, there was a black marking on the upper tail and tip of the tail, there was a black band by the shoulder, a dark patch was visible on the wolf's foreleg, the paws of the canine were oval in shape, the amount of fur on the animal's face and upper back matched the specimen, the animal was orangish red to black in color, and finally, the shape of the animal's snout was more sloped. On the other hand, there are some signs indicating that it was a dog, or at least part dog. The animal had a dew claw, which is an extra nail on the foot. This means that it was at least partially a dog-wolf hybrid, since that's a feature of dogs. The canine also seemed pretty calm for a wild animal. It may have been a released dog that was familiar with humans. Yagi even mentioned smelling it to see if it was wild, and he said it had no smell at all. Although the photograph wasn't proof that the wolf was still out there, it still inspired dozens of people to try and find and protect the wolf. Yagi, alongside an organization he founded, continued to look for the wolf in the woods of Japan. What did you think the best piece of cryptid evidence was? Leave your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you sharing it, liking, and subscribing. You might also want to check out my video on cryptid audio, where I talk about a possible call from the thought-to-be extinct ivory-billed woodpecker. Big shout out to my Patreons Timothy, Wild World, John R., Gerhard, Jason Cook, and Johnny Tsunami. If you'd like to support my channel, a link to my Patreon will be in the description. Special thank you to Trini, Tyler Greenfield, Cameron McCormick, Bamias, Shark-Infested Custard, Dark, and Pondicherry. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.